I'm talking about. We've all
So why it's
seen
coming
the
back up? I'm
evidence
gonna
related
listen
to Donald
to
Trump's almost
Dollar More
two-decade-long
Daily.
best friendship with notorious child abuser, child rapist Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen the letter, the birthday card, the here's to another year of wonderful secrets and enigmas never age, Jeffrey. We have a lot in common, Jeffrey. We've all seen this. We've seen the signature that they now deny is not the signature. And the media is tripping all over themselves after they've tied themselves into a pretzel to try to cover for Donald Trump, to try to, at the beginning of interviews, to say, well, there's no
Come on
evidence Donald
in.
Trump to
I'm
be at the
waiting
polls.
for my system to reboot.
Just conduct the interview. You don't have to do a cross-examination of the witness. You don't have to put on a defense of Donald Trump. That's not your job, CNN. It is not your
Hi,
job,
Jamal.
Washington Post. Get a load of this post on Blue Sky. And look at this headline down here
I'm
from Washington
rebooting.
Post. No clear answers on whether Trump signed the Epstein birthday book. Is there no clear
I heard he is
answers?
not. He's mad about the
In
polls,
the next video I'm going to be doing, I'll be showing this. All these
and he's not.
exact
I'm great. How about
duplicate
you?
signatures from over the years of Donald Trump's name. What do you mean there's no clear answers? I guess unless Donald Trump admits it, we have no way of knowing whether he's involved, whether that was
Hold
him.
on.
I guess somehow a forgery took place and someone worked their way into Donald Trump's best friend's birthday book, and then that ended up on the record in his personal files. What? Yeah, makes total sense, Washington Post.
Yeah. Awesome.
Actually,
So
let's start with John Berman. This is
I'm
actually a more
almost finished
egregious example of it,
rebooting.
where John Berman starts the interview
Oh
with
wow.
Representative Dave Min of my former congressional district in California. And he says, there's no reason to think, this is what John Berman says, there's no reason to think that Donald Trump is involved in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein.
They
And
kill me
listen,
making
to
excuses.
Dave Min's credit, he stops that. There was no question. But he said, John Berman goes to move on. He goes,
Okay,
no,
so hold
wait,
on. I'm coming up.
let's back up here, brother. There's absolutely reason
So he's not
to
gonna
think
pay
that there's
snaps. He's mad. Him mad. So be advised. Let me get this pulled up over here. Where's my stand? He's not going to pay snaps until the Democrats open up and I can move forward with my manipulation plan. Come on. Let's go.
In a move that's all but certain to hurt his own party today at the polls, Trump just took to Truth Social and wrote, SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars, manyfold, during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed to anyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up government, which they can easily do, and not before. Which is to say, Donald Trump is officially weaponizing food assistance for 42 million Americans, including 16 million children, until Democrats cave on health care. He is holding hungry people hostage to force Democrats to reopen the government without extending ACA subsidies. He's pitting the sick against the hungry. But hey, populism or something. I should note, too, that Trump's tweet comes just hours after Mike Johnson said this.
People everywhere can see clearly who's fighting and voting here every day and delivering for them. And I'll say this clearly, that every hardworking American in any place who's missed a paycheck, anyone who has been made to suffer because the services, the health services you rely upon, or the food and nutrition supplement for your family, anyone who is hurting, you have a home in the Republican Party. You have people here who are elected by their constituents to come and do their job, and they do it. They're voting to support you, to make these programs available, to ensure that the people in need have them. And the Democrats, by stark contrast, are doing the exact opposite.
You have a home in the Republican Party.
When my doctor said
Lies.
I needed to eat healthier for my high blood pressure, I was at a loss.
They
until
fell
I
for
found
that
Hungry
already, and
Fruit.
y'all
Hungry Fruit makes it
flipped.
Where our leader is withholding your food assistance as political leverage to be able to take away your health care. How is that for messaging on election day? And what's craziest is that Trump is truly taking 100% of the responsibility here, because just days ago, 2 separate federal judges ordered his administration to release the contingency funds that pay for SNAP. According to the New York Times, in one of the cases, Judge John McConnell of the U.S. District Court for the District of Rhode Island ordered on Friday that the Trump administration must distribute the contingency money timely or as soon as possible for the November 1st payments to be made. His order came shortly after another federal judge in Massachusetts handed an early victory to about 24 states, which similarly had sued to force the release of food stamp funding. In that case, Judge Indira Talwani of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts found that the decision to halt SNAP benefits was unlawful. She required the administration to explain by Monday how it would fund aid in November. Quote, Congress has put money in an emergency fund. It's hard for me to understand how this isn't an emergency when there's no money and a lot of people are needing their SNAP benefits. In fact, the Trump administration just told a federal judge yesterday, Monday, that it would use contingency funds to pay 50% of normal SNAP benefits for November. So when Trump posts today that benefits...
He didn't
quote,
like those
will be given only
numbers.
when
He
the
didn't like
left
his
Democrats open up
numbers.
the government, he is contradicting his own administration's court filing from literally 24 hours earlier. And so now you can see the truth about SNAP and how Republicans are weaponizing hunger. They were calling the lawsuit to release SNAP funds frivolous because they didn't want it to succeed. They wanted people to go hungry because it was a bargaining chip for them. They tried to undermine a case that ultimately succeeded in ensuring that 42 million Americans got food. And this is the What Would Jesus Do party? We've got pious Mike Johnson heading the charge here. In fact, I asked Governor Gavin Newsom about that exact point. Here's what he had to say.
We were really proud in California to be one of the leads on that lawsuit.
Yes, Janet.
And very proud
I knew
of this
that.
judge to state the obvious, who looked at the actual language that said the
Oh,
USDA
no, I didn't know
shall
that.
appropriate contingency funds, and that includes, by the way, considerations for exactly what occurred, a government shutdown. That literally on September 30th, the USDA put out a press release saying these funds are available for precisely that use in case there is a government shutdown, only to see that disappear on their website. And now they're trying to erase any consciousness or memory or any sense of decency on behalf of the American people. Look, you'd expect that of Donald Trump. Let's push that aside. But you started that question with Mike Johnson.
Right, the most pious man in Washington,
Pious.
D.C.
I like that word, pious. It's a good way to describe him. Who's competing for bullshit, bloviation, and lies with Donald Trump. It's extraordinary what comes out of his mouth. Increasingly, it is beyond the pale. This is the indecency of a man of faith.
What
Of
faith?
someone that literally, he read the same Bible I did. You look at Isaiah, you look at Luke, you look at Matthew, you look at Proverbs, Old Testament, New Testament. One of the central themes in the Bible, essential themes. It's not a suggestion, it's about the alignment to the Almighty, to God. It's a question of hunger and food. No decency, sir. Disproportionate number of people that will be impacted in his home district, let alone his home state. And so look, we can state the obvious, the state of mind of Donald Trump, the derangement that he's going to use hunger, starvation, to put families, children, during the holidays, the absurdity of that as he's celebrating, as you suggest, no longer 300, it's likely to be $350 million monstrosity of 90,000 square foot ballroom where he's demanding $230 million from the American people for some tithing because of his feeling aggrieved about legal affairs in the past, where he's sitting there at Mar-a-Lago around the roaring 20s as we are paying the highest taxes since the 1930s in terms of these tariff taxes. And we just paid more, as I said, for Halloween candy, and we'll pay record prices for toys in a matter of weeks for Christmas.
So while Mike Johnson and the GOP hide behind Jesus, maybe it's worth asking what Jesus would do in this situation. If your answer is that he would support Republicans in withholding food as a bargaining chip to be able to take away health care, maybe it's time to reread the Bible. But here's what really gets me about Trump's post. He claims that SNAP benefits were, quote, haphazardly handed to anyone for the asking under Biden, as opposed to just those in need. This is a complete and utter farce. SNAP has strict eligibility requirements. Households generally have to have gross incomes at or below 130% of the federal poverty line. That's $2,495 a month for a family of 3. Does Trump think that people are getting rich off of food stamps? According to USDA data from May of 2025, SNAP provides households with just over $350 a month on average. That's $187 per person for a household of 2. For most people watching this, do you think you can survive on $187 per person in a month? I couldn't. We're talking about people who are struggling to put food on the table. While
sad.
Trump is out here pretending like Biden was just handing out benefits to millionaires at country clubs. The reality is that Donald Trump is trying to rewrite history to make it sound like Democrats were irresponsible with SNAP funding, when in reality, SNAP enrollment increased during the pandemic because, surprise, millions of Americans lost their jobs and needed food assistance to survive. That's not haphazard. That is the program working exactly as it's intended. And now that Republicans have shut down the government, they're trying to use the same program as leverage to gut healthcare. Truly depraved behavior. So I hope that everybody watching can see the game that Republicans are playing. I hope you can all see the ease with which these people will pit hungry Americans against sick Americans in further of their political agenda. And I hope that no matter what your political affiliation is, that you recognize who is trying to help you and who's exploiting your pain to consolidate more power for themselves. Because when Trump says that SNAP benefits will only be given to Democrats to open up the government, what he's really saying is, I am willing to let 42 million Americans starve unless I get my way. And that tells you everything you need to know about who Donald Trump really is.
He's not a believer. He told us that. I clocked that I don't know, months ago. And update a reminder yesterday. So let's get to, because I know it's a bunch of stuff that's gonna pop out today with the elections and with Donald Trump let down if it goes the way it's supposed to go. And I think, oh no, I don't want to share. This is one of Candace Owens uploads I missed, and I thought I had caught up, but I had not. So I wanted to get caught up on it today. And Lord, I just had to reboot. Look at that. Lord. Let me get it pulled up. And we're going to check it out. Check it out. You know when you reboot and everything, it looks like it's still spinning. And now I gotta go across. To find where I had it. How was y'all day today? Did y'all get out and vote? Did you vote? Hey, Trey.
Join ICE with bonuses up to $50,000.
So when I had back surgery, I was not able to work, and I was told to apply. My income at that time was $2,000 for rent. Oh, you're talking about for food stamps. Listen, I have paid into it, so people can say what they want to say. If you need it, if circumstances come and you need it, you apply for it.
Now, I made the mistake of thinking it had departed in the afternoon,
Hold on.
the reaction to, hey, let's start this chapter in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay, so shout out to Candace Owens. Let's get caught up. What's it saying? After renting other beds left me with $50. On to give $5. I told her. $5. Oh, so was you still collecting a paycheck or you was getting a sick pay? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how to calculate it. Okay, so let's check it out.
Actors involved, and of course,
When she said that he was being tracked for years. Tracked.
all right, you guys. Well, if Halloween is your thing, then I definitively have a scary story for you. And it's scary because it's not fiction. Okay, this is real life. The assassination of my friend Charlie Kirk. We are now, I believe, extremely close to solving this thing. I think after this episode, you are going to recognize that there is just irrefutable proof that there were, in fact, foreign actors involved. And of course, that implies that our government knows. Our government absolutely knows.
Okay, let's go.
We already felt that way. So let's jump right back into this impromptu episode. Welcome back to Candace.
That's sad. Sorry. Thank you, Trey. I'm just moving like I was, like y'all could hear. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I want to preface this by letting you guys know that I am positively exhausted. I have been up all night, realizing what we were suddenly on the brink of. Stumbled into it. I wouldn't even say accidentally, obviously. This has been my obsession since we all watched Charlie Kirk be executed in front of the world.
Okay,
and then
gotcha.
a lot of
Thank
people
you.
lie about it, and a lot of people who were not acting right or grieving right, who were his closest comrades and business partners. And let's be frank, as I get inch closer and closer to discovering the truth, we should recognize that this is pretty dangerous stuff. And my theory now, I feel confident stating that Charlie Kirk was taken out by something much bigger than Turning Point USA organization that he was running, and certainly much bigger than Tyler Robinson on the Low C rooftop, who I don't even think was even stepped foot on the campus that day.
Wow.
And I think another thing that I should mention is just how positively sad it is. We can reflect on how sad it is already that there are so many people in the world who are convinced. They've emailed me. I mean, I've received an unbelievable amount of emails from people that are convinced that Charlie's actually still alive, right? And it's not sad because those people are crazy. They're actually reacting to the lack of emotion and the lack of drive that is coming out of Turning Point USA to figure out who killed him. That's what they're reacting to. So, like, they came to, okay, this is so unnatural, the reaction of these individuals who were so close to him, that the more logical, sensible conclusion is that they actually know where Charlie is and he's perfectly alive. Yeah.
The best investment you can make is in yourself. And getting help from experts.
Let's go.
That is how absurd they are acting. Just move on. Just donate to Turning Point USA. This is what Charlie would want. And that's his legacy. So what happened? Why are we here? Why are we live on Friday? I gave up Fridays, but this is so relevant to what's happening, and I wanted to get this information out so that everyone in the world who has been helping me invest, and that's his legacy. So what happened? Why are we here? Why are we live on Friday? I gave up Fridays, but this is so relevant to what's happening, and I wanted to get this information out so that everyone in the world who has been helping me investigate could have the weekend to do research and we can information share. The answer to the centralized intelligence agency, as we have said, is the decentralized intelligence agency. We must decentralize ourselves to plug out of this utterly demonic system. Anyway, what happened yesterday was, obviously I did the show and I circled back to the Egyptian military plane. I had simply tweeted about it while I was in Wyoming, obviously recognizing that it was not normal that this Egyptian military plane had departed on the morning of Charlie's assassination. Now, I made the mistake of thinking it had departed in the afternoon, and the reaction to it, this is how you always know the give, is they overreact to something, and then the military bots make it a trending story. Like, there's no way this was trending, this guy correcting me on the timing, and he tweets it, and the next thing you know, it's trending. Egyptian plane debunked. It was not debunked. I showed you that yesterday, okay? Thanks to a very brave person, a foreigner actually, who informed me that the people who came in on that plane were not the people that went out on that plane. So where did they go?
Wow.
They were estimating like approximately 18 people
Oh,
were on the plane
wow.
that came over, and plane debunked. It was not debunked. I showed you that yesterday. Okay?
Say what?
Thanks to a very brave person, a foreigner actually, who informed me that the people who came in on that plane were not the people that went out on that plane. So where did they go? They were estimating like
They're still here.
approximately 18 people were on the plane that came over, and far less were on the way back. Where did these people go? Well, let me tell you something. As you know, because I am relying on you guys for tips, I'm grateful that I have a platform, but I don't exist without you guys. I'm always checking the comments to see if I got something wrong, if I made a mistake, if there's something that I missed. And somebody I just happened to catch gave a live comment right after the show. I was looking at your comments, and he said, oh, Candace, that plane we covered, the tail number SUBCT, just so you know, like a year earlier, that plane was in Utah at the same time as Charlie Kirk. In 2024, I was like, oh, that's pretty ironic if that's true. I was like, it's probably not true. Except it actually was true. So I started last night and I said, okay, maybe that was a coincidence. Let me actually, since I presented that timeline for you every time I came to America, see if it was always near Charlie Kirk, if it was always near some big turning point event, if something was going on with Turning Point. And the answer, you guys, if you thought once was maybe, twice was a coincidence, 3 times we have a conspiracy, we're at about every single time that we could go back on this plane, and we're not done, obviously. There was something happening at Turning Point USA that was neighboring, okay, in the same city. So I'm going to take you through this timeline. This is so shocking to me, and I've color coordinated this timeline. I'm sure there are going to be some errors. Pick them up, Zionists. Go hard. Make it trend. For the rest of us, let me know if there's slight adjustments that need to be made. But I think we've done a pretty thorough job, so I'm going to let you know what you are looking at, okay? Tail number, there's 2 actually Egyptian planes, because then somebody else mentioned to me, hey, Candace, there was another Egyptian plane that left 3 hours after, Egyptian military plane that is, 3 hours after Charlie was assassinated from Provo, Utah. And that tail number is SUBND. And you should take a look at that. And I thought to myself, okay, I'll take a look at that. Maybe that's where the rest of the passengers went. Maybe that emptied SUBTT left in the morning, and 3 hours after Charlie was assassinated, or maybe it's the next day, 3 days after, Marcus corrected me in my ear, 3 days after Charlie was assassinated, that's when the rest of the Egyptian crew, whoever was on that plane, departed Provo. So we have 2 tail numbers, and they're going to be color coordinated to make it really easy for you, okay? Tail number SUBND, that's a Gulfstream 4, it's about 12 to 6 passengers. And tail number SUBTT, that's going to be our main one. That's our Falcon 7X. Again, holds about 12 to 16 passengers. Now, for those of you who are not jumping around, flying on private jets all the time, the tail number essentially is like, the best way to think of it is like a public plane will say American Airlines on it, right? in order for systems to know how planes are moving in the sky, they kind of have to give them a license plate in the sky, so to speak, right? So the tail number is a unique license plate that literally is called the tail number because it's on the tail of the plane, okay?
Roku's self-serve
Oh, wow.
ads platform. It's easier than ever with Ads Manager. Sign up today.
We're Maurice's, and we're here to give you
Show you this. I'm showing you this just because 2022, as you can see, I haven't made any notes on this because I haven't gotten back that far. But these are the 4 times that BTT, so if they're both SU, that BTT was here in 2022. That's the furthest that we can go back on flight radar. Now we're going to go into 2023, and I have
This
included notes that I think might be
foreigners
relevant
was
to the story.
was tracking Charlie
So in
before they took him out.
2023, Charlie Kirk, I went back on his X feed and he is hitting hard on Ukraine. I mean, like, he's tweeting out photos of Zelensky half naked because, you know, he used to be an actor. Obviously, he's a homosexual male. He's basically demanding, keep this up the whole time, guys. I want them to be able to look through this. He's basically demanding that we pull out of the Ukrainian war. He's accusing Ukraine and Zelensky of corruption, of financial fraud, of money laundering. You go back and he's just basically declared war on the Ukrainian war, figuratively speaking, okay? And he's not siding on Team Ukraine. He's not pro-Russia, but he's not Team Ukraine. I think that's relevant, obviously, because, yeah, when you talk about money laundering around Ukraine and Romania, you're actually stepping on the heels of America. Right? You're actually, that's not something that you can just say when you run this pro-American organization, given the fact that these people run our government. January 10th to 19th, I'm going to also say that I think this is relevant. Rob McCoy hosts the first ever Turning Point USA Faith Pastors Tour of Israel. He's guiding a group of pastors through Jerusalem. On February 20th, I think this might be relevant, because the same people that infiltrated or hostilely took over James O'Keefe were involved with Turning Point USA. James O'Keefe was the founder and the president of Project Veritas, and he and Charlie and myself all met at the same time in November. That David Horowitz Freedom Center event that I was telling you about. James O'Keefe was really young, so we all kind of came up in this movement together and have always been very defensive of one another. So on January 20th, there's this like hostile takeover, what appears to the public at least is a hostile takeover of Project Veritas. James O'Keefe gets pushed out. He's ousted from the board of his own company, and Charlie publicly announces his support for what he perceives, like the rest of the world perceived, was a bit of a hostile takeover. Okay? February 21st, we now have BND, okay? It flies into St. Louis, Missouri, and it lands at 2:38 p.m., and it's going to stay until May. The blue one you're going to see stays longer when it arrives, and then the yellow one will come behind it. BTT will come behind it, okay? On February 25th, BTT comes in. And BTT, again, they're both flying from Cairo every time, typically through Paris, and it then lands in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is relevant because on February 27th, this person, who I hadn't heard of before, named Sean Foyt, I believe I'm saying that correctly, Sean Foyt.
Okay, so T-Sippers, y'all remember when I said how disrespectful it was for Trump to sign in order to allow Qatar to build in Utah, where they took out Charlie Kirk. I mentioned the planes, the guy standing on top in the all black with the black helmet on, and nobody, FBI, Trump, or the Department of Defense, nobody has talked about the guy on the roof in the all black. And it's interesting to me that this is coming from over there with the following, the tracking, watching, plotting, and planning against Charlie Kirk. They boy. Let's go.
Paris, and it then lands in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is relevant because on February 27th, this person, who who I hadn't heard of before, named Sean Foyt, I believe I'm saying that correctly, Sean Foyt, is announced as the Turning Point USA faith contributor. Now, this guy is in partnership with Rob McCoy still today, and to this day at Turning Point USA, doing Turning Point USA faith stuff. And this is also relevant because, by all accounts, this guy is a sleaze. And what I mean is that people were coming forward and saying, the money's looking funny with this guy, he's not a true Christian, he's faced accusations of fraud, of embezzlement. I'm painting a picture for you. But to stay on this Sean Foyt thing, is I had to actually look him up. And I saw it on his biography and on Wikipedia, by the way. So I haven't done a deep dive on him by any means, but I was like, I recognize that name. And I recognize that name because many people emailed us after Charlie's assassination, and they thought Sean Foyt was the guy that was standing and cheering USA, USA. And I think he did a video and denied it, but that's the only it's the only way that I was familiar with that name. So look him up on his biography. And it tells us that he was born in Montana. He's a son of a dermatologist. That dermatologist is not named. He's, of course, a Christian Zionist, you guys, that's obvious. But he grew up playing music in a New Apostolic Reformation church, okay?
What is a
New
Christian
Apostolic
Zionist?
Reformation. Going forward, we're going to term that NAR. N-A-R.
There's no such.
USA, USA. Accusations of fraud.
Not that we know. Now that we know what a Zionist is, it's bullcrap. They need to stop playing. Yeah. The Christian Zionist is the devil. There's no in between. No. Let's carry on, but no, we're not gonna play like that.
Is in partnership with Rob McCoy still today, and to this day at Turning Point USA, doing Turning Point USA faith stuff. And this is also relevant because, by all accounts, this guy is a sleaze. And what I mean is that people were coming forward and saying, the money's looking funny with this guy, he's not a true Christian, he's faced accusations of fraud, of embezzlement. I'm painting a picture for you. But to stay on this Sean Foyt thing, is I had to actually look him up. And I saw it on his biography and on Wikipedia, by the way. So I haven't done a deep dive on him by any means, but I was like, I recognize that name. And I recognize that name because many people emailed us after Charlie's assassination, and they thought Sean Foyt was the guy that was standing and cheering USA, USA. And I think he did a video and denied it, but that's the only it's the only way that I was familiar with that name. So look him up on his biography. And it tells us that he was born in Montana. He's a son of a dermatologist. That dermatologist is not named. He's, of course, a Christian Zionist, you guys, that's obvious. But he grew up playing music in a New Apostolic Reformation church, okay? New Apostolic Reformation. Going forward, we're going to term that NAR, N-A-R, okay? And he would record prayers and prophecies that were made and impacted Foyt, it says, as he was growing up, okay? He was a part of the NAR Apostle Shea Owens prayer rallies, it tells us, okay? Point being is that he is involved with NAR. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that is because there is a Twitter user, an ex-user, named Melissa. She goes by Mel, and she uses the handle Village Crazy Lady. And her and I have been speaking because you just know when someone is a real one out there. And I've been watching her, and I'm like, okay, she's on it. She's like me. She's a mom. We're not messing around with what's going on in the world today. And she's been calling people out left and right. She's not pro-Israel. She's also a Catholic. And when her and I spoke about this Turning Point thing, she said, are you familiar with NAR? And I said, no, Mel, I'm not familiar with NAR. What's NAR? And she was like, I'm looking into this. I'm digging into this NAR thing. There's something here. If we start talking about Rob McCoy, something's going on here. So she's going down the figurative NAR rabbit hole. If you don't know who she is, you should follow her. I told her to pin whatever she's learned about NAR to the top of her profile today. That's Village Crazy Lady. But that's the introduction. So NAR is somehow going to be relevant. Again, we are at an early phase in this investigation. Let's jump back into our timeline here, okay?
Hi, Roman.
So he is announced that he is going to be heading up. Rob McCoy is obviously now the co-chair of TPUSA Faith. He brings on Sean Foyt, presumably, and on February 28th, Sean Foyt it's announced that he's going to be heading up the Kingdom of the Capital Tour. So he becomes the face of this Turning Point USA Faith Tour. So, and of course, the first event that they do, as I just mentioned to you, that plane gets to St. Louis, Missouri, and sure enough, Sean Foyt is there. TPUS Faith is there. They are at the Capitol, and they're doing this event. Okay, so interesting. I went, okay, that's kind of interesting. Let's keep going. Now I'm just going to scroll through this because this is timeline 1 for myself because it's going to keep building everywhere that Charlie is speaking, everywhere that Charlie is speaking. Let's look at March 24th, 2027. I'll tell you why this is interesting to me. Turning Point USA has their first ever Faith Pastor Summit. I spelled that wrong there. The Faith Pastor Summit, and it's in Nashville, and it's headed by Rob McCoy. And lo and behold, while they're here, there is a trans shooting, a traumatizing trans shooting in which the feds engage in a cover-up regarding, okay? You remember this shooting because it was at a Christian elementary school. It was at a Christian elementary school. It was incredibly traumatizing for all of us that lived here, and then doubly traumatizing, not just because we have kids, but because then we got no answers. They just wanted to hush this. This is just a crazy trans person. Nothing else to see here. Goodbye. Now, what I will say to you is Rob McCoy has got some terrible luck, is what I would say, because he's there when that trans shooting happens. Obviously, he's very close to Charlie Kirk when his shooting happens. He says I was his pastor. But also, I had received a tip that Rob McCoy, who's from Thousand Oaks, which happens to be a very corrupt place, was very involved in a shooting that happened in 2018. When I say involved, I should rephrase that. I don't mean like he shot anybody. What I mean is that he was the nearby pastor of a Thousand Oaks shooting that happened at some bar where a veteran shot up a bar. Skylar, can you pull this up? Because I don't even remember the details. We received an email and they were like, he was very close with the shooter's mom. The shooter was a veteran. They killed 2 Marine vets among some other, it looks like, bystanders at this bar. What bar was it? Something Bar and Grill? I'll look it up in a second if you don't have that quickly. 2018. Give me 1 second, guys. Just want to make sure that we have the facts of when this happened.
Hey, Pete.
2018 Thousand Oaks shooting. I can't hear you for talking in my ear, but yeah, there was a shooting here at the Borderline Bar. Okay, that's on November 7th, 2018. A former machine gunner in the Marines, okay, opens fire on patrons at the Borderline Bar and Grill. It kills 11 patrons and then himself. And then when you hear who the victims are, there's some other Marines and some veterans there. So I'm starting to get the feeling, by the way, and I don't know about the rest of you, and these are Candace's musings, that maybe these kind of random shootings that instantly get covered up, but always involve like an Army veteran, aren't actually that random, and maybe the military is involved in them.
Absolutely.
Like there's a target inside of there. Okay, that's a segue. Going back to Rob McCoy and him having bad luck.
Now, remember, I showed y'all that picture just last night where the security guy that had a camera on his glasses when he and he twerked them and he did something with his arm signal right before he was shot. That same guy was with a military guy, and the alleged young man that was walking up the stairs that they say is Tyler, but we know it's not, with the veteran shirt on. Do I need to show y'all again to remind you now that she is saying this stuff is kind of making sense. I just looked at that picture just a minute ago. What does this say? Oh, okay, this. Right here. I mean, I'm finna make it bigger, but that's that guy, right? And that's the guy in the blue. Peekaboo, I see you. And I said just yesterday, that's a military guy, ain't it? right there. And I said, that's a military guy. That's the guy that had on that veteran shirt that was walking up the steps that they say is Charlie Kirk. Right? And that's that military guy. I mean, the security guy. Okay, let's get back to her. Whew, the dots are connecting, aren't they? Let's go.
So I'm starting to get the feeling, by the way, and I don't know about the rest of you, and these are Candace's musings, that maybe these kind of random shootings that instantly get covered up, but always involve like an Army veteran, aren't actually that random, and maybe the military is involved in them. Like there's a target inside of there.
Okay.
That's a segue. Going back to Rob McCoy, him having bad luck.
I mean, you can order them online.
This person tells me that he knew the shooter's mother.
Thank you,
His
Naturally
pastor or something.
Norlands.
Happy to correct that. But then also got close to the victim's family, and the victim's family got upset with him. Anyways, just put that in your back pocket. I just thought that I should mention that, like, he's got some luck, or bad luck, rather, okay? March 27th, like I said, is when we have that trench shooting at Covenant Elementary School in Nashville. And then we go back into our timeline. You can see on April 1st, we have that plane. We're going to call it the yellow plane for the sake of this timeline. The yellow plane flies from Cairo, always via Paris, to St. Louis again. And it lands in Missouri. And guess what? April 2nd, TPUS Faith, co-chaired by Rob McCoy, kicks off their tour
the McCoys.
With an event headed by Sean Foy in Jefferson City, Missouri, the very next day while this plane is here. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, April 6th, it leaves, and it always goes through Delaware when it leaves and goes back to Cairo. Okay, now I am just kind of putting down for you here, again, other places where Charlie's here, where he is, because I know that I'm going to, this is going to build into my timeline. You know, I'm looking, and Sean Foy is in Israel, related to some more faith stuff. I don't know if Turning Point sponsors that trip or not. That's why I put a note there. Charlie at that is speaking in Sacramento on the April 13th. Yellow plane again comes in. This time it flies to Kansas. Cairo to Kansas. And on April 23rd, Sean Foy heads up the TPUSA Faith Kingdom to the Capital Tour event, which happens to be in Topeka, Kansas. So I have a question. How did he get here from Israel? Did he fly into Wichita the day before and then make the very short drive and make his event? I don't know, but I'm putting it in there because once again, we have this plane in here and we've got another TPUSA Faith event that is happening right around the corner. It's about, I think, just under 2 hours to get from Wichita, Kansas to Topeka, where the TPUSA Faith Kingdom of the Capital Tour continues. Okay, April 3rd, BND is in here does a test flight. I think I might have dropped this blue thing. Oh yeah, it's been here the whole time. That's right. This plane stays here a long time. So it's been here from February 21st, and then it's going to head out, and it just leaves on May 9th. Okay? That's going to end 2023. Literally every time this plane is here, I can pin a TPUSA Faith event that's happening, which is like some luck, right? February 9th, we're going now into 2024. I guess actually let's start with January. On January 3rd, 2024, Mikey McCoy is promoted to the Chief of Staff of Turning Point USA. I have the internal email, so that is a fact. He gets the promotion, and now you can see, I guess the McCoys are much more involved in Turning Point USA. I did not know them, so this has to be the year that they got super involved, because I'm going to do my last speech for them in June of 2024. Anyways, he gets promoted to Chief of Staff, and then on February 8th, Charlie's campus tour is publicly announced. I'm doing it with him. On February 9th, our plane comes in. Our Egyptian military plane comes in. This time it is headed to Nebraska, and it lands in Nebraska and then flies straight to Lincoln, Nebraska. It lands in Omaha, and then flies straight over to Lincoln.
Military base.
And it stays in Lincoln for a mysterious 5 days. Now, I'm racking my brains. I couldn't find anything going on with Turning Point, but I was like, I bet there's something going on in Turning Point in Lincoln, Nebraska, because that's a pretty precise location for this plane to go to. And lo and behold, Turning Point USA on February 11th, while this is going on, starts a chapter in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm not kidding. Here's the post. Now, to be clear, because people will go out and say, oh, they already had events at the University of Nebraska. They had a regional chapter, which in Turning Point lingo, like if there's not enough interest in a certain area, they will develop these regional chapters, and people in that area who are interested in Turning Point USA will work to make events happen. They did not have a Lincoln specific Nebraska chapter, according to their own Instagram, as you can see, until February 11th. This is a chapter Instagram, I should be clear. This is the UNL, University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and they're saying it's going to be our first weekly meeting. Here it is, and I think you cut off the bottom. Oh, and it's on the right side. Starting next week, TPUSA at UNL, it is official. Our first weekly meeting, okay, February 20th, Nebraska City Campus. You got it. You got it. I would like to know, if you are a Turning Point USA insider and you are watching this show, who started that chapter. That is very relevant to my research right now. Who started the Lincoln, Nebraska chapter? Because I can't find that. I've looked through. I've tried to see who was the first person. Typically, I think to start a charter chapter, you have to apply. So there's got to be some students, and maybe you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you can ask around who said, hey, let's start this chapter in Lincoln, Nebraska, all by ourselves. We're not going to be regional anymore. I need to know who that is, okay? So that happens, and then on February 14th, our plane departs back for Cairo. And this time, BTT departs Cairo, stays in Wilmington for 2 days, and then heads back to Cairo on the 16th. Yeah, okay, so that's February 14th, right? It comes back pretty quickly. On March 29th, BTT, our yellow plane, departs Egypt again, and it comes back to Wichita, Kansas. It lands at 2:19 p.m. in Wichita, Kansas. And guess who was in Kansas that week? I mean, it's just incredible. It is incredible. Charlie Kirk was speaking at the University of Kansas, okay, on April 3rd.
Lumen came to us
Wow.
with a clear need that we have to connect Gen AI customers. We basically need to put.
So, let me know when you get uncomfortable and you realize these are not coincidences, okay? This is a conspiracy. This plane is following Turning Point USA Faith and Charlie Kirk, or Charlie Kirk, by the way, at those TPUSA Faith events. It's possible Charlie was speaking. I just can't find it. It's very difficult to search Charlie Kirk right now and to go back. So I'm going to continue to build this timeline, but you're getting the picture here. Let's keep going. So yes, that plane comes in here. And then I have here on April 9th that Charlie is in Omaha, Nebraska, speaking at the Lord of Hosts Church. So he's doing TPUSA faith stuff in general. And then we get our blue plane comes in. Our blue plane, remember, is the one that whenever it's here, it's going to sit for a little bit, and it sure does sit for a little bit on April 19th. It goes to Provo. It comes in from Cairo via Paris. It makes a stop in Salt Lake City and then goes on to Provo. That is April 19th, okay? Lo and behold, BTT is then going to come in from Cairo via Paris through North Dakota to Provo. The planes are together. Again, they're meeting up. They're kind of tracking each other. And who's in the area? Who's in Utah at the same time? Of course, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is doing a Salt Lake University event. Sorry, it's not Salt Lake University. It's the University of Utah at Salt Lake City. I think that's correct. So he is doing an event at Salt Lake at the University of Utah. It's a Prove Me Wrong event. Charlie Kirk is here, of course. And then we have that BTT, that's our yellow plane, departs on April 28th. Charlie's event is over, so we can move on. Also have here that Charlie spoke in North Dakota, so he's in the area. And then on July 17th, our blue plane is going to leave, right? It always lags behind our yellow plane. Now let's get into 2025. This is the year that Charlie gets assassinated, right? I don't know what this plane is doing. I don't know who's on the plane. I do know that if Tulsi Gabbard or Joe Kent is potentially watching this, or if they are, as they have stated, or as the public figured out, being blocked from Kash Patel, you should be able to look into these flights and see who is on these manifests, and it is going to be extremely relevant. I'm telling you, it is going to be extremely relevant. And my best guess is that they are going to try to hide that or lie about it. And I'm wondering if these planes potentially maybe had some Americans on them, because that would be incredibly relevant. Anyways, let's get into 2025 here. We're going to start with just the planes don't come in at all in the beginning. This is me just putting down Charlie's schedule. May 23rd is the first time one of the planes come in, and that is the blue plane. The blue plane sits and it stays for a while. And I'm going to say that to us, when we looked at this, it appeared to be a legitimate maintenance stop, like that they came in because there was just some test flying that was happening around that time. I don't know for certain. Obviously, we're building upon this timeline. But the blue plane, our lag plane, gets into Provo on May 23rd, okay? We're going to keep with this timeline. You can see in June of 2025, by the way, is when the article broke. Sean Feucht is credibly accused of having been involved in fraud and embezzlement. There are multiple organizations that are binding together to say that he's immoral, he is unethical, that he has financial activities.
You cannot be a Christian Zionist.
Ceaseless financial solicitation they accuse him of, intermingled with grand visions, which has led to untold financial gain and a steady stream of unpaid labor from volunteers.
Hey, Southern Queen.
Starting to sound a little bit familiar here. And they make statements that he was purportedly using, I'm going to say this allegedly, I'm reading this from the article, using business credit cards for personal expenses. He diverted donations to personal accounts. He inflated the prices that were paid to vendors. He's using ministry funds to rent his own cabin in Montana for the ministry board meeting. I mean, there's all of these allegations that are coming from him. And by the way, even people who formerly worked at Turning Point USA say the same thing, that there's something not right about Sean Feucht. Now, despite all of this, and this breaks down the very many properties that they say are owned by him, very expensive properties, by the way. There's always going to be a real estate, there's almost going to be like a real estate theme in what we're going to discuss later. They're breaking down, like, this guy owns a ton of properties, he's moving a lot of properties. That's interesting to me. When the money is looking funny and you see that people own a lot of properties, you should be interested. Okay? I'm not making any allegations against him, but I'm going to make some broader allegations that when I started piercing this layer of the Mormon church, I was like, is this a church or is this a real estate empire? Never seen so many real estate transactions in my life. People that were paying cash more than what the property was worth. And I'm going, when I see this much real estate being purchased in cash, I know a thing or two about money laundering. It's a good business to be in, is all I'm saying, right? It's a good business to be in. And I gotta be honest, these mega churches are looking a little funny, okay? They're looking a little funny. What was it, Joel Osteen? Like, the plumber was fixing a toilet and found like $1 million in the hole. Do you remember this story? Mega church pastor.
Yep, I remember that.
Joel Osteen, his church. I think it was, I gotta pull it up if you can find it, Skylar. The plumber is like, hey, I'm here to fix the toilet, and finds that actually there's like almost $1 million of cash in one of the walls. And I think Joel Osteen issued a statement and was like, we are very surprised to see this. It's very strange. This is in the walls of our church. That's amazing. God has blessed us greatly for supporting Israel. I'm joking. He didn't say that. But I think the excuse that he gave, here it is, the plumber doing repairs, November 10th at the mega church, blah, blah, blah. There was a loose toilet in the wall. We removed the tile, and boom, 500 envelopes fell out of the wall. And I was like, oh, wow. And then the plumber contacted maintenance. And Joel Osteen's excuse was like, we had some money that was missing at the church. Here it is. I don't know. These pastors like tickle me now. It's like, I don't know. That's so crazy. That is so crazy. There you are. There you are, $1 million. $100. See you there. Happens all the time.
Hey, hold on. Okay, so what did he say to make that $1 million fall out that wall? Do I need to go bust the back of one of my toilets and say, there you are, $1 million? I knew I put you somewhere. What do I need to say? Well, how do I need to pray? Oh, so that can happen to me. Okay? Come on, Joel. Come on, y'all. Please double tap the face of y'all screen. Get the likes up for me. This is very, 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 very interesting. It makes a lot of sense, especially with the picture that we looked at yesterday, where it was like, why is the security guy with the alleged killer? I mean, with a gun. I mean, that type of gun. Is he his granddaddy? That he was trying to get his gun back to him and breaking it down and putting it together? And how is that? And why is the military standing like right behind him? And again, who saw any blood? Yeah. And then I showed y'all last night as well, when the same military guy that did the signal was handing off something to another guy up under the tent. And which makes sense to why nobody else was in danger. Why none of the security that they paid for checked to see where the shooter was. How do you know they're still not in imminent danger? Yeah, because y'all planned it.
Bill Austin's excuse was like, we had some money that was missing at the church. Here it is. These pastors like tickle me now. It's like, I don't know. That's so crazy. That is so crazy. There you are. There you are, $1 million.
Hiding from me.
There. Happens all the time. Rich people problems, you know? Rich people problems. Just so much money. You got to put it behind a toilet. And he said that's what they thought maybe it was. To me, when I hear cash flowing like that, my mind goes to, and we're talking like a lot of these mega churches are always in California or Arizona, and I'm not saying this about Joel Osteen. I'm talking about the broader implications of cash being found in any place. I'm thinking the cartels, right? Like that's where my mind's at. I'm thinking cartel money is flowing through the border and could end up in a closet somewhere. Again, I'm not correlating that to Joel Osteen, but I do think the fact that that money was found there is weird, and his excuse makes no sense. I will say that. Now, jumping back into our timeline, where was I just now? We are, this is when things start to get a little spicy for Charlie Kirk, okay? So that's Sean Foyt, that's June 2025, money's looking funny, according to multiple people and organizations that have worked with him. Mark has made a note. No, that's incorrect, Mark. I checked this 3 times. You're thinking about, you're saying that, oh, sorry, yeah, that's where we were just at now. Oh, okay, I will bump that. Okay, Mark is saying that the Lincoln chapter was opened. I had that in the wrong date. That was supposed to be in May of 2025. Okay, we'll get back to that. Let me just get through this. Okay, so we have Tucker Carlson then speaks in July 11th of 2025. This is a very big deal. Okay, very big deal. Tucker Carlson gets on stage at Turning Point USA, and there is a donor panic, an absolute panic. He gives a speech. He calls out Jeffrey Epstein, right there. He's calling out Jeffrey Epstein. Dave Smith is speaking. They're talking about Israel being a problem. He's getting cheers from the crowd, right? This audience being like, yeah, no, why are we married to this like nation in the Middle East that happens to be committing a genocide? But he also says things like, people that serve in foreign armies should probably have their citizenship stripped, something along those lines. And he also muses about where Bill Ackman's wealth comes from. And yeah, it's just a speech, which, by the way, Charlie was the one who told him backstage, go hard at Israel, right? He's done. Charlie's done. He just is. That's just the reality, which is why it was crazy when people were trying to lie about this. I was like, this lie will not stand. And he's telling Tucker Carlson to go hard in the paint. Now, I know for a fact that when Tucker came off stage, one donor immediately, a woman who I have not named yet, instantly started yelling at Charlie. Charlie then gets the full donor squeeze. You are not allowed to be anti-Israel. This feels like a good time to mention that the last time that I spoke at Turning Point USA's conference in 2024, there was this random sidebar conversation that I had with Tyler Boyer. Tyler Boyer is the king of shady at Turning Point USA. He is the one, like I said, he has hired every person around Charlie. Joke's on you if you think Turning Point USA is a Christian organization. It's a Mormon one, okay? And Tyler Boyer said to me backstage, there was something going on with like Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes. I can't recall. This is, again, 2024. And I said to him, why don't you just have Charlie debate Nick? Like, the common sense thing to me is just like have the debate, right? It's not a big, it's like all of this. I think Nick had maybe come actually to the conference with like some people because he was doing that for a little bit. And I was like, why don't you just like debate him? Like, I don't know, I'm like pro conversation. And Tyler said to me, Turning Point USA will just always be pro-Israel. Like, we're just never not going to be pro-Israel. Didn't think anything of it at the time, but in retrospect, it's kind of a weird thing to say. Like, what do you mean it will never be anti-Israel? What do you mean it will always be pro-Israel? That's just what we are. We're pro-Israel. What do you mean that's just what we are? You're supposed to be an organization that's dedicated to free speech. And what comes with free speech is the ability to think freely, the ability to process the information that is being spoken to you.
As long as it's pro-Israel.
You care about free markets, which I think actually it relies upon free speech to have free markets. I don't even think the markets are free right now. And so I'm just trying to understand this concept that Turning Point is just never going to not be pro-Israel, actually, in the retrospect. And so if we fast forward a year later, Tucker Carlson's on the stage, and his hype boy, his hype man is Charlie Kirk, and he's like, just hit him hard, and he goes out there and he hits them harder than anything, and suddenly there's an explosion, right? And they're really angry. They are very angry. Josh Hammer is angry. Seth Dillon is angry. Far be it from them to ever tell the truth about that. These people were going to lie. Oh, he never blinked, and we were just his greatest supporters. Bob Shillman is angry, and they're basically saying, Charlie, this can never happen again, and you have to be pro-Israel. That's kind of the vibes that they're putting down, okay? That happens July 11th, and now our plane is coming back from Egypt. Just 9 days later, it goes through Omaha, Nebraska at 11:37 a.m. It departs and it heads over to Lincoln, Nebraska, and it stays there for 6 days. I would love to know, and again, anybody who has the ability to pull the files, maybe you just work at the airport, I really would like to know who was on that plane. I think this July 20th date is very important. Very important, okay? I think the post-TPUSA conference dates are critical to what happened here, okay? Then Charlie speaks to New York, and after that, he heads up to New York in the Hamptons, and Charlie Kirk himself, described it as an intervention. Seth Dillon is lying through his teeth, okay? People that were there said Seth Dillon was rowdy and pushing Charlie on his views on Israel. Charlie himself described it as an intervention that was staged over his viewpoints on Israel, okay? And maybe they were going to see if they could fix them. You know how every episode of Intervention ends. They ask you if you want to go to rehab because they love you. Okay, they read the letters. Charlie, I remember you. You were so brave. You were so brave. And
you were so pro-Israel.
You understood that your job is to be a good little goy and do what we say. I miss you. Do you want to go to rehab? But that phone call wasn't coming in from mom or dad. It was coming in from Bibi Netanyahu.
Yep.
And that's kind of terrifying, actually. Bibi Netanyahu is like pretending to be your friend. Hey, come to Israel. How do we know that happened? Because Bibi told us himself. So this is not in dispute, right? Bibi raced out to say, I miss you. Do you want to go to rehab? But that phone call wasn't coming in from mom or dad. It was coming in from Bibi Netanyahu. And that's kind of terrifying. That phone call wasn't coming in from mom or dad. It was coming in from Bibi Netanyahu. And that's kind of terrifying, actually. Bibi Netanyahu is like pretending to be your friend. Hey, come to Israel. And how do we know that happened? Because Bibi told us himself. So this is not in dispute, right? Bibi raced out of the gate to establish Charlie Kirk as like Israel's top goy. And he said probably too much. He said he called him 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And he invited him to Israel. And the part that he left out was Charlie declined. So when he got the phone call to go to figurative rehab, Charlie said, no, I'm good, actually. Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level, okay? Andrew Colvett should be able to confirm that, yes or no. Don't dance around it. I don't like with dancing. Him and Alex did, oh, this, blah, blah. It's a yes, okay? Take it to the next level. With what money, though, actually? It is relevant, and it is true, that Charlie did not know where the money was coming from. That's why he established Doge, okay? He did not know where the money was coming from or where it was going to. That sounds to me like a very sophisticated money laundering operation could have been happening under his nose. Now, I'm not a forensic accountant. I am saying this so that those of you who are forensic accountants can go do what you do and figure out, for Charlie, establish the internet doge. Okay?
Oh,
where
wow.
was the money
They was
coming
from the
and where was it
Erica
going? As
McCoys,
like, Israel's
Eric,
top boy. And
Trump, where y'all
he
at?
said probably too much. He said he called him 2 weeks ago, and he invited him to Israel, and the part that he left out was Charlie declined. So when he got the phone call to go to figurative rehab, Charlie said, no, I'm good, actually. Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level, okay? Andrew Colvett should be able to confirm that, yes or no. Don't dance around it. I don't like with dancing. Him and Alex said, oh, this, blah, blah. It's a yes, okay? Take it to the next level. With what money, though, actually?
Share and subscribe.
It is relevant, and it is true, that Charlie did not know where the money was coming from. That's why he established Doge, okay? He did not know where the money was coming from.
He was ordering
or where
an
it was going
audit.
to. That sounds to me like a very sophisticated money laundering operation could have been happening under his nose. Now, I'm not a forensic accountant. I am saying this so that those of you who are forensic accountants can go do what you do and figure out, for Charlie, establish the internet doge. Okay? Where was the money coming from and where was it going to? And did my Turning Point insiders tell me the money was indeed looking funny? Okay? It was just a lot of money coming in really fast and going out really fast. And I can tell you what it sounds like. We don't have any facts on that. We only have just a sense of Charlie's emotion at the time. He says, no, Bibi, I don't know maybe where this money's coming from. I'm good. I'm not going to go to rehab in Israel. And I'm not going to take your money. Charlie says no.
You ain't gonna be screwing me. You ain't gonna compromise me.
Next, after the Hamptons retreat, is that and I think this is a BTT. I didn't put this on August 17th. I missed this. BTT comes in. Is that BTT? Stays for 6 days. Yeah, because it went back to Cairo. BTT, that's our yellow plane, comes into Nebraska. And again, does that trip into Lincoln immediately. And again, I think these trips are very important. Okay? Turning Point USA insiders, I know some of you guys are becoming more and more courageous. What was going on in Nebraska? What's going on at the Lincoln chapter? How did the Lincoln chapter come together? I think you were making a note that that was supposed to be in 2025. The Lincoln chapter came together. Is that what you were saying, Mark? Okay, so I'll edit that in our updated timeline so that you guys that are watching this can update that in your timeline. What is going on in Lincoln, Nebraska? I feel like something very relevant is happening here. Then we have, of course, the final time that that plane comes in, and that before Charlie's assassination, rather, it comes in on September 4th. It heads to Minot, North Dakota, and then it heads directly there to Provo. And it lands in Provo on September 4th at 12:46, and it was a full plane. Okay, that's what we can say. It was a full plane, according to a person overseas who had intimate knowledge, and I think the information is solid. And it was not a full plane when it departs the morning that Charlie is assassinated. So, working with that,
it's never been easier to start a podcast than with Riverside. Here's how it works. First, go to Riverside.
How did I miss this one? How did I miss this one, y'all?
What's going on here? We then know that 3 days later, bringing that back up on September 13th, our blue plane, which it trails, is going to leave through Canada, as it always does. It's going to leave Provo. It's going to go through Canada, through Paris, and back home to Cairo 3 days following Charlie Kirk's assassination. Did that plane perhaps have the rest of the people that were left behind? What is going on? I want to know. One more thing that I want to mention to you. And Skylar, I actually didn't tell you. I want to make sure that you pull up just what I want you. Okay, under the notes from me, Charlie, because this is stuff that we're working on. I mean, Charlie, goodness.
Oh, wow.
The notes from me, Skylar. It says 2 jets that landed from Arizona into Provo, because we started tracking those jets. I think the planes are going to tell us a story. If you could just copy that, and from there up into the 9/11, Yeah, that'd be great so that they can see that. We started then looking at the planes that day, and something that struck us as actually, Charlie, Charlie, goodness, Skylar, if you could just delete the name of the agent is the only thing I would delete because it's not relevant for them. I mean, it's obviously public information, but we don't want this person to get inundated. Anyway, so there were 2 planes that we could find that right after Charlie gets shot, scrambled, and from Scottsdale, Arizona, we're trying to figure out, who came in. And something that caught us, something that we think is interesting, is that the tail number 940JD, right, had a day where they went up from Scottsdale in the morning, and I think it was, if you want to bring that up, Mark.
All of these, have you noticed that all of these cities and states are quiet? Like Nebraska, who goes to Nebraska? Utah, who goes to Utah? Arizona, maybe, but really not, really. So it's like they're establishing military or residents or I don't want to say, I almost said explosions, but they are planning and plotting in areas that are not often visited or looked at. I mean, if somebody's going to be a terrorist, it's like Arizona, like Nebraska, Utah. I mean, it's not like New York, California, East Coast, West Coast, Florida, none of that type stuff. So it just seems unpopulated. Yeah. Where it's populated, but not popular. But Utah, so they can be all over Utah and we would know it. I mean, we just wouldn't know it. So it's like Utah, one of those CIA, because when she first started going deep, it's like we noticed that a lot of these people names came up when she did the background search. We saw CIA family was either military or CIA government, like backgrounds. If it wasn't them, it was their family or intelligence. Because one of the guys I look at a lot, I vaguely remember that he said the Robinson guy scored high in the intelligence. So when she speaks about never give your kids true scores, because if they rank too high, it's an alert from intelligence. And then they want to get into your kids' heads. Interesting. Come on.
You want to pull it up? That's N40JD. I want to say it leaves at 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh, no, that's the other tail number. Just kidding. The G5 plane. Okay, switch that. This is why he needs to bring this in. Tail number N102DZ. We'll have it up in a second. N102DZ we're interested in because at 7:12 a.m. in the morning in Scottsdale, so that's local time in Scottsdale, it flies from Scottsdale to Salt Lake City. So instantly I was like, oh, this could be Charlie's plane. But then, why would Charlie fly into Salt Lake City? No, he would fly into Provo, obviously, because Salt Lake City is 60 miles away. You don't fly private so that you can then take a 60-mile car, unless there's some reason that you would have to, like the airport was closed. And I don't think that's true. Maybe it is. You guys can let me know. But this plane flew from Scottsdale and then landed in Salt Lake City at 9:23 a.m. local time. And then Charlie gets shot at 12:23, and this plane scrambles. And it leaves Salt Lake City, and it heads to Scottsdale at 1 o'clock p.m. So that's pretty quick, but coming from Salt Lake City doesn't make sense to me. So I'm thinking this had on somebody, but why did they go to Salt Lake City? That's what I'm trying to figure out, okay? And so that G5 plane then gets back to Scottsdale at 1 p.m. local time, right? Because they're going to gain time going backwards. And then they are only on the ground for 15 minutes. They turn around and they go right back to Scottsdale. It's possible this plane picked up Erica. It's possible this plane picked up. There's a lot of people that were coming in. I think there's like I don't know Mikey McCoy's wife's name. I think she said she was there. Mikey McCoy was there. I don't know who was on this plane. But I'm wondering about that first trip, not even the second trip. It makes sense that you would obviously go pick up people. We know people were racing there. Everyone has told the story 1,000 times. But why was this plane in Salt Lake City in the first place? That's what I'm interested in, I guess, if that makes sense to you guys. And that is what we have been working on. All right, we are going to take a break here quickly, and then we'll be right back.
Emma, who you telling to grow up? What's going on, Emma? Emma, what's going on? Who you talking to over here? Telling
All right,
to grow
you guys,
up?
I'm going to take a brief pause.
Emma, we're getting the tea. We're getting educated. We are connecting our dots. So who are you telling to grow up? What's going on with you? Did you hit the like button? Did you speak? Huh? Explain yourself. I'm counting to 10 on you, Emma. 1, 2. Okay, it's time to go. Oh, okay, something popped up. Let's see. Oh, no, it didn't. Bye, Emma. Y'all, everybody say bye to Emma. She bold enough to comment, but she not bold enough to explain what she talking about. So you're not welcome here. Bye. Yeah, hey, Samantha. She don't want us to get to the truth, do she? How dare her? She didn't like the truth. Talking about grow up. No, you grow up. We listening up. Hell you mean? Y'all won't tell us nothing?
From the wellness company, and I do it simply because I refuse to be trapped in line. The emergency, use code Candace and you'll save 48 USA. And I do mean a lot of people, as in the wonderful people that work for the organization that are not the, and something that came, and again, this is opinion. There's another strand of this that
the tea is hot, baby.
To me, and
get your ass up out of here with that.
Again, this is opinion. I didn't cover it because it's opinion, but a lot of people felt at Turning Point USA, and I do mean a lot of people, and something that came, and again, this is. There's another strand of this that is compelling to me, and something that came, and again, this is opinion. I didn't cover it because it's opinion, but a lot of people felt at Turning Point USA, and I do mean a lot of people, as in the wonderful people that work for the organization that are not at the top, right? And they felt that Mikey McCoy was kind of being positioned to take over for Charlie Kirk. And I never again covered it because, you know, feelings are not facts. But given the picture that we now have of his father and what his father is involved in, and
his father said he called him first.
Charlie was kind of veering from what I think was a predetermined course for Turning Point USA, I have a lot of questions. Also, another person who wrote us was telling me the story about Tyler Boyer's involvement in like Maricopa County politics in general. Like, what did he do before in Arizona? And yeah, it's just the kind of stories. Again, he said he approached him several times about embezzlement. You know, Tyler was hooking up with young interns, young male interns, or young male workers. And he didn't even care. He's like, I would go on record because all of this happened, and I had the proof that all of this happened. And everybody knows about Tyler Boyer at Turning Point USA. It's like an absurdity. But this is the person that is putting people into places of power at Turning Point USA. Like he's just involved. And something that was interesting is also how many Russian speakers there are. I was telling you, like UVU, there's just a lot of Russians and people who study Soviet studies. Right. Even the president of UVU majored in Soviet studies. Tyler Boyer majored in Soviet studies. He's a fluent Russian speaker. He spent years. And I'm going to assume when I say they speak Russian, that they're probably more tied to Ukraine, like kind of coming full circle on that. Because a lot of times people wrongly assume that people who speak Russian are Russian. And actually, Ukrainians, until they like made it a law, they had to stop speaking Russian quite recently, were Russian speakers, right? Because it's Russia and it's their home. So it's interesting to consider that there are a lot of, I think even Mikey McCoy's wife might be Ukrainian. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that's something that I think is interesting as well, or could be interesting. It might not be interesting, but definitely on the Tyler Boyer front, it's very interesting that he was involved with orphanages in the Ukraine, posted about helping Russian-speaking orphans or whatever it is years ago. Like I'm talking like 10 years ago. I just don't like it. I don't like it. The vibes don't feel right. What was going on? Why was Turning Point, what was their campus doing? Why are people at Turning Point saying they don't know where the money's coming from? Why is no one seem to be grieving him in the right way? Why does it feel to me like a hostile takeover of a company? That's how I personally feel, okay? That's how I feel. I feel this is a hostile takeover of a company. And I feel that the company became bigger than Charlie because Charlie was too ambitious and Charlie trusted people. And he trusted that people were in it for the right reasons. And what I have learned in politics is people are hardly ever in it for the right reasons. Truly. If you are getting into politics, you think you're going to meet good people, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. In fact, if you have a lot of friends in politics, I probably already know that I can't trust you because I know what it takes to keep friends in politics. Friends of Charlie Kirk, look what they're doing. Kash Patel, Charlie had him on his show. Kash Patel should be the FBI director. He fought for that. Look how Kash Patel is acting, right? 33 hours, wink, wink, Freemasons, wink, wink, wink. Oh, Tyler Robinson's file adds up to 33. Oh, the Freemason Lodge in St. George or in Utah is number 30. It's like,
I see you in
FBI director. He fought for that.
what Valamy or whatever it was that he said.
For the right reasons. And what I have learned in politics is people are hardly ever in it for the right reasons. Truly.
Ever.
If you are getting into politics, you think you're going to meet good people, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. In fact, if you have a lot of friends in politics, I probably already know that I can't trust you because I know what it takes to keep friends in politics. Friends of Charlie Kirk, look what they're doing. Kash Patel, Charlie had him on his show. Kash Patel should be the FBI director. He fought for that. Look how Kash Patel is acting, right? 33 hours, wink, wink, Freemasons, wink, wink, wink. Oh, Tyler Robinson's file adds up to 33. Oh, the Freemason Lodge in St. George or in Utah is number 33. It's like, we get it, okay? This was an assassination at a very high level, and they do communicate with numerology. And if this sounds above your head, it's probably because you're not in my book club. But it is just, to me, the most sinister and sickening thing that these people can lay their heads on the pillow at night and they were just going to keep going, okay? I feel a lot is adding up and that more people need to look into Turning Point Faith. They need to look into NAR. Again, I would follow Village Crazy Lady on X. She's fantastic at research and she has been keeping them on their toes with research, and that is the area that she wants to go down. I can only chase so many rabbits, and I think what we have an understanding of is an apparatus that was about anything but faith, okay? I think actually, when I now look at the picture and I'm learning more about Rob McCoy and knowing that he was the co-chair in 2024 or maybe in 2023 of Turning Point USA.
This holiday season, every macro bar is more than just a snack. It's a gift to your body, to our planet, to...
They believe, and this is why the Christian Zionism thing becomes so important, that they can hijack our emotions and tell us that it's our biblical duty to support the state of Israel because I think the state of Israel is probably involved in what is happening at the border, in what is happening overseas. It is definitively involved in all these wars. I mean, everywhere you look, Israel pops up. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Congo. They'll be like, well, look at what the Christians being slaughtered in Congo. Oopsies, Dan Gertler, the diamond thing. How are they number one in the diamond trade? They don't live in a place with diamonds that grow. So, what are we even talking about? What are we talking about with this nation?
Everything is about Israel. Israel is first.
Charlie was a Christian Zionist because he believed that was true, and I actually believe it is a perversion of Scripture, and I am begging you all,
a perversion
those of you
of Scripture.
Who go to these mega
Sure
churches,
is
those
a
of you who are
perversion.
evangelical, who follow these evangelical influencers, you are probably noticing about now that they are mum on the topic of Charlie Kirk. They want to move on. They want to let it be known that it's just a trans shooter, not one of them is standing up and going, no. I spiritually feel that something is wrong. We all feel that something is spiritually wrong, and yet these people are trying to tell you that there's nothing to see here. That needs to be your wake-up call.
Playing with God is your wake-up call. There is no Christian Zionists. These Zionists do God-awful things. There's nothing Christ-like about none of it. Let's be absolutely clear, especially after what we uncovered yesterday about their beliefs. I'm sorry, especially after what we uncovered about their beliefs. It is an absolute no. I don't know what type of Christian, nothing about it. It has been altered, manipulated. Yeah, so you make deals with the devil regarding money, or you accept donations from the devil. It's a trick. When you start putting money before God, your morals, your integrity, when you started making excuses to justify it, you have just allowed the devil in. And you're thinking, okay, but I'm a Christian, I'm a I'm on top of this. I don't know how people play with it or compromise it. And I'm not acting like Charlie Kirk is the first. He's not. I know several people. I have some in my family. I mean, not Zionists, but who do these things knowing that they are deceitful and make excuses for it in their Christian walk. Hey, Max Boogie, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're Zionists. I'm just saying that they compromise their integrity. They compromise their relationship with God, and they justify it. They make it right, even though they know it's wrong. So to me, that's still playing with the devil. And I don't advise none of us to play with the devil, because we do not know how far the devil gonna take us. And we can always rest assured that everything about it is a lie, is deceit, is manipulation, and we are not exempt. We are not exempt. We're not gonna out-hustle the devil. It's just not gonna happen. And we have to stop playing with ourselves. And that's how it's sounding like to me. He got pulled in further and further. And just like Candace said, they thought that they were their friends. At any point that you have to sin in order to be redeemed versus God. Anytime that you are going to these men retreats and shit, and they got some huge statue that's something a kid has to be sacrificed, where is God in that? Are you crazy? I'm not going to even play with that. I'm not going to even attach Christian Zionist to my title. That's not my resume. It's just not. No. Hell no. What? No. Let me let her finish. But no, I every time I hear that Christian Zionist mess, it gets up under my skin. And this is why Christians have $1 million hid up in their wall, because they don't accept the money that you ain't paid taxes on, because you hiding it. And you don't want nobody to know, so you stealing. Yeah, no.
Standing up and going, no. I spiritually feel that something is wrong. We all feel that something is spiritually wrong, and yet these people are trying to tell you that there's nothing to see here. That needs to be your wake-up call. If there is going to be a turning point, it is not going to be the one that they expected. Okay, I sense that.
Hello.
There will be a turning point, but it is not going to be the one that they are banking on, where a bunch of Christians are sold slop and are told that it is their God duty to support the nation of Israel, while looking away from the fact that they're acting real weird in the hours after Charlie's assassination, doing
it's
way
hush,
too
hush.
much. Man is
Hey,
willing to tell you
exclusive.
they had nothing to do with it. They are asking you to set aside your instinct, your gut instinct, your God instinct. You recognize something is wrong. That's why you're watching.
My God instinct is telling me that his security should not be standing with the guy who they say shot Charlie with a gun that they say he was shot with. The little guy with the veteran t-shirt on that was walking up them steps should not be talking to the guy, the security guy who was giving hand signals and shit, twerking on his eyeglasses with a military guy behind it. That's what my instinct is telling me. I mean, every time I see something, I go back to how I felt in the beginning. Him. And now we in the plane. And then once she unfolded the guy in the all black, because that's what the police report. We're looking for a guy in all black, tactical hat. You know, all of that. It was not the little boy that was walking with a limp in his pep in his step. It wasn't him. And why are they together? With that type of gun. Like I said, is he his pawpaw? Teaching him how to break that gun down. What are we doing? What are we doing? Let me let her finish so I can go. It's almost 2 hours. Come on, y'all. I ain't buying it. And that McCoy boy who's standing right there, grabbed his phone, walked off, didn't look back, didn't check on his friend, did nothing. He's saying mission accomplished.
This show. You are recognizing that the people around Charlie are not acting in the way that they should be acting. That their emotionality is not meeting the moment of violence that we all witnessed. Instead, they're turning on me. They're making videos about me for investigation. You recognize something is wrong. That's why you're watching this show. You are recognizing that the people around Charlie are not acting in the way that they should be acting. That they're real weird in the hours after Charlie's assassination, doing way too much. Man is cartwheeling to tell you they had nothing to do with it. They are asking you to set aside your instinct, your gut instinct, your God instinct. You recognize something is wrong. That's why you're watching this show. You are recognizing that the people around Charlie are not acting in the way that they should be acting. That their emotionality is not meeting the moment of violence that we all witnessed. Instead, they're turning on me. They're making videos about me for investigating. They're lying to you about where Charlie was on his faith journey.
Crazy.
That's hush hush. The Catholic thing must stay hush hush. Why? It's all kind of adding up, right? They're attacking Tucker Carlson because he's attacking Christian Zionism. They're angry at Charlie because it's looking like he might get off the Christian Zionist reservation, because that's what it is. Okay, that's a plantation. And what they are mining is your emotion. What they are mining is your belief in God. That's a plantation. And faith journey, that's hush hush. The Catholic thing must stay hush hush. Why? It's all kind of adding up, right? They're attacking Tucker Carlson because he's attacking Christian Zionism. They're angry at Charlie because it's looking like he might get off the Christian Zionist reservation, because that's what it is. Okay, that's a plantation. And what they are mining is your emotion. What they are mining is your belief in God. And there's no question in my mind. It is corrupt, but it is also dangerous. It is dangerously corrupt. And I think that Charlie learned this lesson the hard way.
Right.
I'm appreciative to all of you guys who are sending me emails. You're worried about my safety. Please stop sending those. Okay, I understand what I'm doing. I have read my messages over and over again with Charlie, ones that I have not even revealed. And this, to me, feels like a Christ mission, to wake up the world and make them aware of what snake it is that has wrapped around all of the nations. And it does so in the name of God. a nation, okay,
Come on,
that has
Candace.
mass
You better say
murdered
that, girl.
children. You can
better
watch the
say that.
my messages over and over again with Charlie, ones that I have not even revealed. And this, to me, feels like a Christ mission to wake up the world and make them aware of what snake it is that has wrapped around all of the nations.
Yes.
And it does so in the name of God.
Absolutely.
In the name of God.
Absolutely.
Christian Zionists are telling you to support a nation, okay,
of evil
that has mass murdered children.
Absolutely.
You can watch the videos. They're telling you to do this because it is your biblical duty.
Absolute
When are you
manipulation.
going to wake up?
Wolves
Charlie
in sheep
Kirk,
clothing.
He was the #1 Zionist for a very long time, Christian Zionist for a very long time. Look at how they are treating him now that he is dead. They are lying on his name. You have to wake up, okay? It is my mission to share this information with you to get you to wake up, because I think Charlie was right. I think there was something about me and him together, okay, that was, I don't know, like just meant to happen, you know? Not in the way that some of you guys are interpreting that. The kid, he was literally my kid brother, but I mean, like, there was a higher calling to his assassination, which he knew was coming. He knew he was going to die. He said from the time he started Turning Point USA that his life was going to be short, and he knew that I would be the one to fight for him. He knew that it was going to be me that was going to be the one that would fight for him. He knew that I would be his David, and it is that relationship that we described yesterday, the David and the Jonathan. He was my friend, okay? I watched him work, but more than anything else, I laughed with him. He was my friend.
Hi,
And you
Ronald.
are not meant spiritually to watch your friend.
She can
have
come to
a
my
bullet in the
barbecue.
throat. And you've got two things after that happens that you can do, okay? You can run from it. You
Right.
can run from it and say, I don't want to end up like him. Or you can fight like hell to find out who did it to him. And I have chosen option 2. All right?
Fight like
I'm gonna
hell
take
for
some of
your
your comments
like
after
I
we get
tell
back to
y'all,
this brief
everybody
break.
need a friend
Watch
like
your
Candace.
friend catch a bullet in the throat.
Everybody need a
And you've
friend
got
like
two things
Candace.
that are not meant spiritually to watch your friend catch a bullet in the throat. And you've got two things after that happens that you can do, okay? You can run from it. You can run from it and
Yes,
say, I don't
please
want to end up
like,
like him. Or you
share,
can
and
fight like
subscribe.
hell to find out who did it to him. And I have chosen option 2. All right? I'm going to take some of your comments after we get back from this brief break.
Okay, y'all, I'm almost 2 hours in. I got to go and get something to eat. I will be back. Like, we all need a friend like Candace, baby. We don't have to always agree. We don't see eye to eye. None of that. Hold on. Yeah, I was, yes, you do need to eat. Was 6, 7, probably 7:30. I'll be back around 7:30. We all need a friend like Candace. Okay? I'll be back around 7:30, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, join the membership. Hit the top bell button. For some reason, people were... Okay, it looks like some people were unsubscribed by YouTube, I guess. I'm not sure, but hit the... If you're not getting notices, unsubscribe and then subscribe right back and hit the top bell. Okay? I'll be back at 7:30. Good one, y'all. This was good. This was good. This is good. This is good. It makes sense. It makes sense. We'll be back.